Well guys, welcome back at ImWateringPSUs, and I finally have built a PC with no cables too. So if you are familiar with the tech community and if you watch a lot of tech videos, you've probably seen a PC like this before, but if you haven't, I'm glad to be the first one to show it to you. Basically, the various manufacturers of PC hardware have come together to design a new standard for PC building where we don't have cables on the front, because cables are ugly apparently. I don't entirely agree with that, by the way. I think a nice set of sleeved cables can complement the build quite nicely, but I have to say that having a build this clean, it's kind of nice. So let's delve into it. So the standard here, again, it has been done by a few manufacturers, ASUS, MSI, and we also have various case manufacturers. So what I have here today is a full XPG build with the new BTF standard. BTF is what it's called. Now, if you want to build a PC like this, you're gonna have to look for BTF on the name of the case and BTF on the name of the motherboard. They are also making BTF GPUs, but more on that later, because I unfortunately wasn't able to get one for this one, but for good reason, okay? Because I went with a vertical GPU. Now, the name basically means back to the future. It's just a way of innovating. The motherboard I've chosen for today's build is a pretty high-end board, because I figured if I had to do something like this, I may as well do it with the best aesthetic outcome as possible. So what I did is I did a full white build with an ASUS TUF Z790 BTF, and it is a very good board. It is not a cheap board. You can buy it for around 300 bucks. Unfortunately, at the moment, it is worth the money, since Z790s apparently nowadays go as high as like 800 euros for the top of the line motherboards. So this is not too bad. And I have to say, since they put the connectors on the back, they could finally innovate a bit more in the design. So there is nothing quite like this out there. It is basically a full cover motherboard like we had on the E80X motherboard of higher tiers. So something that I appreciate quite a lot actually. However, I did pair a locked i7-14700F with it. Now this may seem like dumb choice or not the best choice, but I actually did this for a reason. So first off, I wanted to keep the budget low, and the 14700F costs like 60 bucks less than the K version, which is quite a lot. But more importantly, the performance difference is actually zero for the use case that we have here today, because this is a PC for 1440p, high refresh rate gaming, and we have a 4080 Super in it, so not a 4090. And this combo is actually insanely balanced. Now, this is not a gaming video, even though this is a gaming PC and a gaming build which you can replicate. So I won't go very much into detail as to the performance and the gaming as I usually do. But just to let you know a little bit, you can basically play Apex Legends at 240 FPS, 1440p with this thing. But what I did to the CPU is I went ahead and updated the motherboard to the latest BIOS with the Intel fix to update to the latest microcode and prevent all the issues which have been happening. And I also followed what I show in my undervolting tutorials to make sure that everything was running cool and quiet. So now the PC, you basically cannot hear it while it's running. Moving forward with the build, it is a fully XPG build. So we went with the XPG Lancer for the RAM, and I got it in white. XPG makes all of their components also in white, and they got 6000 MHz RAM, because again, locked CPU, we're not pushing it too high. And it's just good RAM that also looks very nice, and I think matches the board since it's very geometrical in shape. I also got the S70 NVMe SSD, still from XPG. Very good drive, goes fast, around 7000 megabytes per second. It comes in with the sticker removed, so it's easier to install in a motherboard with a heatsink, like this one over here. Massive heatsink on the motherboard, by the way. I'm very impressed. It supports Gen 5 too, so the installation was pretty smooth, both on the SSD and on the RAM. We also got from XPG the Levante X360 White water cooler. So of course, such a good case with no cables, I wanted to full out the fans. In the end, in this build, we have a whopping 8 fans. Now the cooler is very good. I have tried this in the past. I actually made a bottlenecked PC build with this, where we put a 4090 with a 12th Gen i7 and XPG keyboard case. I recommend you go watch that video if you're curious about 4090, what it can and can't do. And also, part of the reason why we bought a 4080 Super is because I think that nowadays a 4090 is pretty much useless, so I would really recommend you buy 4080 Super instead. But again, I have a dedicated video called Do Not Buy the RTX 4090 for that. By the way, since we're talking about recommendations, maybe drop a like and subscribe to the channel if you like the video so far. Moving forward, Levante X is a great cooler, and all the fans daisy chain. It's pretty straightforward, and what I like the most is it has just a 3-pin and a fan connector, so I could just daisy chain the whole thing, daisy chain the RGB as well. That's kind of the good part about having a mono brand build like we've done here with XPG, and that is that simply everything works as it should, with no compatibility issues and no surprises. At this point, it was about time to put everything into the case. And now, listen guys, if you are PC builders, you know how stressful it can be sometimes to slot your motherboard into the case, because if you scratch the back, it's game over. One critique to the BTF standard is, well, even though you are more guided because you have cutouts for where the back 24 pin and backwards 8 pin for the CPU should go, you know, it's kind of stressful because you kind of risk scratching the board even more than before. So you need to be really careful, but it went pretty smoothly. Cool thing is all the connectors are on the back. I'm talking front audio, USBs, SATA, anything is on the back aside from the RAM, NVMEs, PCIe slots, and the CPU, of course. All the rest is just on the back. I find it really cool, honestly. Now, first impression on the case, this is the Invader X BTF White, and the case is just an aquarium-like, very much reinterpreted, and it has quite a few things I like. So first off, the cutouts on the back are pretty large. It is not bad at all. The front I/O being relocated with this geometric style on the front is what I like the most about this case. I do not like aquarium cases that put their I/O on the side. I think they're not the best. Also because I have my PC on the side usually, so I'm just used to clicking in the front, if it makes sense. I also very much like an angular glass, and I like it if the glass has a tight clearance between the two pieces, which this has. But my favorite part is the airflow. So if you look at the build, you're probably thinking, this guy, this small tech channel doesn't know how to build a PC because the airflow is fully negative. And the whole PC is gonna overheat. But actually, these fans are reverse blades. Even though it looks like they're pulling the air out, they're actually pushing the air in. So the airflow is actually perfectly balanced, and it is basically a neutral pressure with 4 intakes and 4 outtakes. Now, I did mention the GPU already, but basically we got a 4080 Super still in white from Gigabyte, and I think the Aero again fits the theme with the geometric look. And now we got also an SDIY white extension to keep the whole thing white, and we vertical mount the GPU. Now they make BTF GPUs where you basically do not have to connect the cables because the PCIe cables are relocated to the back of the board, and the board itself is an adapter. This motherboard has that, but unfortunately, this being a client's build, well, didn't want to buy the more expensive GPU, and in Italy right now they are super expensive, so it's kind of what we had to do. Power supply, I will not mention really. I just got an 850 watts power supply from iTech, which is plenty for a 4080 Super. Not the best PSU, but you can't see the cables either way because they're on the back, so it doesn't matter. Cable management was pretty guided, I want to say, but also pretty good. I hate when the routes are not done right. Here it wasn't bad. Also, they put an extra piece to just lock the cables in place and make the closing up of the panel easier. Performance-wise, there's not much to say really. This thing just runs great. Again, this video is more about the BTF than the actual performance, but like the XPG RAM, you could just lock in the XMP. If you're thinking about buying this motherboard, it's great, I recommend it. I think the 14700F is a good value CPU at the moment with the price cuts, and in my experience it's also one which is less prone to the issue which Intel CPUs have been having lately. And the 4080 Super is just the best value on the high end, so not much to say there. I've praised it enough on the channel. And I think the build came out looking nice. I think the BTF standard is good. One critique I want to make is for the motherboard manufacturers, because I think at the moment they are still a bit expensive with the motherboards. Cases are really good value. Like the whole of the XPG stuff is pretty cheap actually. XPG is a brand which is known for not making stuff which is too expensive while still being a premium brand. The case especially, it can compete with higher end cases as well. And I think it is a very good competition for the MSI own cases with the BTF standard. At the moment, it's the one I like the most, which is why I picked it. And I can recommend it to you guys easily. Do let me know down below if you like the build or if you would have changed anything. And also let me know what you think about the BTF standard. Are you going to build a BTF PC or is it a pass for you? Let me know down below. Maybe drop a like and a sub. And hopefully I will see you guys again if the video wasn't too boring. Bye bye.